So we are here on our weekly call, and I got Samantha Jackson on here, who is a fabulous member of our team. How you doing today, Samantha?
I am good. I like Wednesday mornings.
Yeah, I do too. And these don't always get posted on Wednesday morning. Usually Thursday or whatever, but you and I have a standing date Wednesday mornings to get this done. And so, yeah, I look forward to this mainly because one of my big things, Samantha, is to be really good at this business, you constantly, even stuff that I know, constantly got to hear it. And hanging out with a professional like yourself, yeah, it's great. And I really appreciate you coming on and doing this. So what are we thinking about today?
I was thinking maybe we could talk about what it looks like when you are sitting at home and it's 10 o'clock at night and you're looking around the place you're living in and you're like, you know what, this really isn't where I want to be. I'm going to go look at houses tomorrow. So Bill, when that happens, what do people do?
Well, they usually do call and reach out to me. And they call me at 254-495-5661 because that is my mobile number, and you will get me whether I am driving or eating, whatever. You're going to get me on that phone. Yeah.
Maybe not at 10 o'clock at night. They can wait.
Well,
right?
Usually yes, but occasionally I've been known that if I'm sitting there watching a movie or whatever at the house, I might. The chances are pretty slim. But chances are, I'm going to call you definitely in the morning.
I always tell people I'm friendliest between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m.
And really, yeah, like last night, gosh, what was it, 7 o'clock? I was still talking to people. I think you and I were emailing back and forth. I mean, after dinner. So yeah, real estate knows no time.
Sorry, let me turn that off. So, somebody calls you and says, I want to go look at houses. We all know that going to look at houses is the fun part, right?
Yeah.
But what do they need to do before the fun part?
Well, especially in this market, the fun part is I will sit and ask you questions. And one of the major questions I ask, and this is not how I actually ask it, but, cut it short, I ask how we're going to pay for it. How are we going to pay for this? Because Samantha, the market is just so fast paced, contrary to popular, you're going to be listening to national people talking. Maybe their market is in bad shape. Our market isn't. Yeah. We're still in multiple offer situations. It's, like this. And so if we don't have how we're going to pay for it, we're behind, we're way behind. So that is like the first thing we need to get. And I typically then tell people they need to get a hold of a certain person named Samantha Jackson, whose phone number is
254-624-4307.
And I have them call you because, we need to get that portion. How are we going to pay for this? Another thing that's frustrating for me is we go looking at houses and maybe it's a $5 house. And then when we talk to Samantha and you talk to them, they suddenly decide, oh, you know what? I want to buy $4 houses. Well, Bill's all worked up about what? Looking at $5 houses, and now they're dragging me around to looking at $4 houses, and I get all, and so really they need to have that conversation with you ahead of time. And so I know they have, because they start asking me these questions, and I do. How do I answer these? I always answer this. I have a real estate license, not a
mortgage
license. Yeah,
absolutely.
that is you, right? And you don't go tell them what a bad water heater looks like, and I don't go around telling them, questions like this. Should I get pre-qualified?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny when people call me or I call people and I'm like, hey, your agent asked me to give you a call. We're going to start that pre-qualification. A lot of it is about setting expectations. And I always ask people this question in two ways. What price range are you currently looking at? And usually they'll tell me, anywhere from 300 to 350. Okay. And what kind of a payment are you guys comfortable with? What have you budgeted for monthly payments? And I've got to figure out how to stop that from doing that. But how do you, what have you budgeted for monthly payment? If those things aren't in line, their expectations are going to be smashed from the very, very, very beginning. So we do have that conversation about payments. Somebody tells me they want an $1,100 payment and they want a $350,000 house. Unless they've got a significant amount to put down, those two don't go together.
Mhm.
And,
Yes.
that's one reason that you recommend, and I recommend, that people start the pre-qualification process before they even go out and look at a house.
Well, how do I get pre-qualified?
It's
How do
easy.
we do that?
You could, they can go online to my website. It's weknowfinancing.com. I make it easy. So KNOW financing.com. So, and that's because we really do know a lot about financing. And that's first. If they want to do that, like at 2:00 in the morning, they can go onto that website. It'll notify me immediately. If I happen to be awake, I might run it. If I'm not, then it may wait till the morning. But if they go to that website, or they can give me a call, super easy. Shoot me a text, give me a call, and I'll get some basic information over the phone. And yes, we do run credit. That is the very first hurdle.
Now, I'll have people call me and go, I'm pre-approved, when I actually kind of drill down and find out they're actually pre-qualified. What is the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval?
That is a great distinction. Pre-qualified means that I've run their credit and they've verbally given me their information. So they've told me, hey, I make $75,000 a year and I have $30,000 in the bank and I've been on my job for 8 years, and they give me this information and it's all verbal. That's great. And some people do know their information that well. But some people, it may be, well, I make $75,000 a year, but only if I get my big bonus. And I haven't got my bonus for the last 2 years. So I'm really counting my bonus as income, but I don't actually receive it. So a pre-qualification really is only as good as the paper it's written on and the lender who provides it to you.
So if I'm a listing agent and I get an offer, guess what my clients ask me, especially my savvy ones that are the ones that have been taught by a certain real estate agent, the correct questions to ask. Guess what they ask me? Is this a pre-qualified versus a pre-approval?
So pre-approval, let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The pre-qualification, we'll pre-qualify people all day long, but we tell them too, it's not a full pre-approval until you provide me with your documents. So I need your pay stubs, I need your bank statements. Some of that we can get electronically. If we can get it electronically, that's great. Some we can't. So until we have that paperwork, it's not a pre-approval. Once we have that paperwork, we're going to send out a pre-approval, and that's way better. That means that they've actually done the homework to get to that point. That means somebody's eyeballed their documents and says, yes, these are accurate. That's huge. I highly encourage that if you're selling your home and you've got multiple offers, make sure you're working with a local lender.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to say something about that. Why do, that was my next thing is what do my clients look at? Well, are you pre-approved, pre-qualified, and they look at the lender.
Absolutely.
Again, when I'm talking to my listing, the sellers, I go, okay, are we dealing with an internet person? Are we dealing with a big bank that can care less if you actually get your loan or not? Because you know what, they get paid by the hour. Or is it someone local like you? Why is that important? Why do you think that's important?
I'm here, boots on the ground. All I do is mortgages.
Yeah, I can call you.
Yes. All I do is mortgages. I'm boots on the ground. Yes, it's, I finally figured out how to turn that ringing off. I'm boots on the ground. You can find me. I used to tell my kids when they were little, we would go to the grocery store and I would tell them all the time that when we would see people and they'd be like, oh, Samantha, you helped us into our house. We're so appreciative. And I would tell my kids, that's why I work locally. The last thing I want to do and why I want to be a good lender is the last thing I want to do is walk into the grocery store and see somebody and go, kids duck, that person doesn't like us. We want our clients to be happy, and, working in your own community, you want to see those people again. And I love seeing people and hearing their success stories and things like that. I'm not working in a call center.
Yeah. Go back to it. And here's another thing is the difference between you and when I'm dealing with, and I can't mention, we don't want to get sued here. We'll just call them big bank, is big bank will not talk to me when we're standing out, we're about to make an offer on this house, and now I need a letter that talks about this house. Again, as a listing agent, guess what I'm looking at?
Right.
Some of my clients read those down to, to the nth degree.
To the word. Yeah.
Yeah, to the word. And if the words don't match good, you're out. And I can't get that changed with big bank. I can't call them and go, hey, can you change this? Guess what I can do on a Saturday afternoon.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the question has come up before. The pre-qualifier says 300,000 and they're offering 305. You need a 305 pre-qual letter, and you need somebody who's going to sit down right that minute and provide you with a 305 pre-approval letter and is going to know that it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. So, I mean, yes, I think the pre-qualification is the very first thing, because we want to set that expectation. We want to set the client up so that they're shopping where they want to shop. Nothing is more frustrating than looking at $300,000 houses for a week and then discovering that you only qualify for 180.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's a difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference. In fact, people will ask me, they'll come in and I'll ask the question and they'll go, well, I'm looking between, a $4 house and a $5 house. And they go, yeah, there's a big difference every $10,000 even in one house to the next. So, if you give me some range like that, that's 100 grand in between there, that's not, no. So we really need to get in there. Okay. Do I need to have and this is weird. I get this, the perfect credit score. I don't, and it goes to my thing about, yes, I'm a perfectionist, but I realize I'm in the work of perfecting, not being perfect, So what's a perfect credit score?
The one that gets you into the house you want.
There you go.
I mean, it's funny. The credit scoring models in mortgage, we don't use one credit bureau. We use 3 credit bureaus. So we use TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. We use all 3. As far as score goes, the cool thing about that is we get to drop the bottom score. We don't drop the whole report, just the score. In return, we have to drop the top score. So we have the middle score. So let's say somebody has a 720, a 760, and an 800. The representative score is going to be that 760. Mortgages, every mortgage company has different credit scores that they'll go down to. We'll go down to a 580. But just having the minimum credit score doesn't guarantee you a loan. You can have an 830 credit score, and that doesn't guarantee you a loan. We have to make sure that you can afford the house, that you've got income coming in to pay for the house. There are a whole lot of things we look at, and that's, again, another reason to work with somebody who does just mortgages. We don't do car loans.
Residential mortgages. Too.
Residential mortgages, yeah, because we have to know those guidelines. And Lord bless them, those guidelines change at least once a week.
Yeah, I was about to say daily, right? I've gone to seminars where we'll have, someone talking about mortgages, and they'll say, everything I say now is good until we walk out that door. That's very good.
I mean, we had a big change a couple of weeks ago on VA.
Yeah.
VA, back in the old days, the service member could not pay for a termite policy. That had to be a seller's expense, or it had to be the agent's expense, or it had to be the lender's expense. The service member or the veteran couldn't pay for it. I had somebody call me early last week and tell me that he was working with a lender who told him he couldn't pay or that he had to pay the termite policy. He said, well, I Googled it and that's absolutely false. I said, well, actually, on the 15th or the 18th, VA came out and said, you absolutely can pay it. He's like, well, how come I didn't know that? Well, because my job is to stay up to date on the guidelines. Your job is to trust the people that stay up to date on the guidelines.
The guidelines, right.
So it does change frequently.
And I want to also point this out. It is state to state. Okay.
Not every state requires the termite policy.
Yeah. And so for my military, because we have a heavy military patronage of clients because we're in the greater Fort Hood area. I'll get questions asked to me and I'm kind of like, hey, talk to Samantha, because that might be in Tennessee or Washington State, but that ain't in Texas. But let's talk to Samantha. Yeah, good point. So, and the only other thing I want to kind of throw in there as a tip to people is when Samantha asks you for your dog's vaccination paperwork. I'm just kidding. You don't ask for that, but you ask for something, scan it in and place it in a folder. Keep this information in a folder so that if Samantha was to ask you again, it's easy to get a hold of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's just a little tip that I've learned is help many of my clients deal with stuff. But you can get them pretty far down the line of being pre-qualified or pre-approved, and to the point where all you're really kind of waiting on is for Bill to find them a house, correct?
Absolutely. And it doesn't take long. I mean, if you're doing what you got to do and there's no like weird things in there, there are things that are going to take longer to do the pre-qualification, but if there's nothing that's like really off the wall, we can typically have a pre-qualification within an hour and sometimes as little as 20-30 minutes. And you can have that pre-approval within the next hour if you send in your documents. The ways to expedite that, I will tell you this is a big secret, but I'm going to tell you the biggest secret to expediting everything in our industry is do not send me screenshots. Go to your bank account and download that bank statement. If we can't access it electronically, go to your bank account, download that PDF statement. Please don't send me a screenshot of your transaction history. Go to your employer and pull your pay stubs. Don't send me a screenshot. Those we have to convert and everything else. The fastest way to move that file through is not screenshots.
There you go. Well, is there any other kind of questions about getting set up to go looking for houses that I didn't ask you?
You know what? You don't need 20% down.
Oh, yeah. Do I need 20% down? Yeah, that's that. Dang, how did I miss that? Totally forgot about that because people will ask me, well, I need 20% down. I go, no, not necessarily. Again, it's something like you were saying earlier. I could borrow half of the purchase price or and pay the other in cash. But which, by the way, you need to kind of talk to you about how that might potentially hurt you. Yeah, so I don't need 20% down.
You know what? You can buy a house as little as 0% down, but somebody out there is going to comment and say, but I'm not a veteran. I know there are still programs for 0% down. If you're not a veteran, you can put down as little as 3% on a conventional loan. You can put down as little as 3.5% on an FHA loan. And before you tell me you don't want to pay mortgage insurance, there are ways we can mitigate that monthly mortgage insurance so that it's not as big of a bite to you, and we can do things to make that easier. I will tell you all the time, there is more than one way to get to the end goal. Our goal, your goal, my goal is to get people to their end goal in the best possible way for them. No mortgage is exactly the same from one person to the next.
Right. And I also want to put out real quick is I am not here to make you buy a house, and you're not here to make them accept a certain loan package, are you?
Nope.
So I'm going to put this out here, time frame. When should I talk to you? When do I need to start talking to you actually?
So here's what I'm going to tell you. 3 to 6 months before you actually plan to buy a house is the best time to reach out to me.
Not the day of.
No, God. In 3 to 6 months prior, we can change the credit score. We can change the debt to income ratio. We can do all kinds of things to get you where you want to be. Sometimes a 20-point change in credit score can change the entire outlook of the file. Sometimes a 5% change in credit score. And we know on our side, my team and I have worked really hard to educate ourselves on credit. I've been doing this a long time. I know where to put your money to move the needle the most on your credit score. And believe me, it is not necessarily disputing things on your credit. Right.
And you really need to talk to Samantha. Well, Samantha, I really appreciate this discussion. And I think our next discussion needs to be, okay, what do we do while we're in the process of actually buying the house?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that should be our next.
Our do's and do nots.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. My favorite part, actually, of our discussion is going to be this, because it's very frustrating. So I can't wait till we talk about that. Samantha, if people want to get a hold of you again, how do they do that?
You can give me a call, text 254-624-4307. If you just want to skip the preliminaries and you want to go straight to the website and fill out a pre-qualification, you can do that at weknowfinancing.com. And I will bet through the magic of editing, that link shows up down there somewhere.
I bet so. It's amazing. I don't know how that happens. Well,
How
folks,
do I get a hold of you?
Oh, how you get a hold of me? Well, you can reach out to me at bill@i35group.com, or you can call me at 254-495-5661. Either I or one of my team members would love, I mean, this isn't a job to us. This is a calling for us to help you with your next home purchase. Or maybe you're thinking about, selling the house. We can help you there too, at a high level. And we do, if you want more of this content, especially part 2 of our discussion, you probably want to hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell thing there and make it dark so that you'll be notified about our next little video. Please like this video. If you have comments, feel free, if you don't want to call or whatever, we'd love to hear your comments here. And we'll answer those for sure. Well, Samantha, I look forward to talking to you next time.
You too. See you later.
Bye now.